Well, hello there all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, where we talk about nature while playing games. My name is Will, I'm an ecologist by training, and this is Enshrouded. We are back with the second episode. We've got a little bit of a base going. Remember, we are slightly more nomadic. We are probably going to move base today, and I've got an idea of where I want to go next, and it's going to be a cave base then. And we'll chat a bit about that as we go there. However, we do have some quests to do. So we are going to grab two here from Oswald Anders here, Mr. Oi. There we go, Mr. A. And he's telling us to make a grappling hook and to also go scale the Ancient Spires. So that is what we'll do. Now the grappling hook requires metal scraps, string and shroud spores, which thankfully we have got a lot of. So there we go, we've got that. Just going to equip it. And then it's time for us to head on over to that Ancient Spire over there. We also have a quest to collect sparks, which we can grab over there. However, I'm actually going to head a little bit more to this side and follow the sun to the east. Interesting that the sun seems to rise in the west and set in the east, considering that as far as I know it is basically the end of the day now, and, well, the sun is way to the east. Oh wow, that is a beautiful view. Oh, gorgeous. Now we also have flint over here, and flint is a very interesting thing, let's put it that way. I mean, before we carry on, let me just quickly grab double jump here. Haha, there we go. Because this will allow us to traverse the world a little bit better. And here we go, flint. So flint, a very interesting compound. It's a type of rock, obviously. And of course, the Flintstones, the animated cartoon family, they were named after, well, flint. Because flint was extremely important in the Paleolithic, in the Stone Age. And flint was formed a number of times, but the exact way in which it is formed isn't known. But most likely what happens is that there's a sedimentary rock. In this case, it looks almost like sandstone, but not sandstone. I know we can get sandstone later on in the Kindle wastes. But this is most likely a type of sedimentary rock. Maybe it's shale. It could explain. Yeah, it could be shale, this. And there are little holes or little burrows, little tubes that form within that rock. And then a silica-rich ooze kind of fills that gap there, that little tube that forms. And very often the flint actually contains teeny tiny marine fossils. So it's very likely that this actually formed in a marine environment as well. Now it's going to be night now, so let's not go down there yet. Let's actually have a look at the fireflies, shall we? Because they should be out shortly. At the moment it turns dark, you can see the bioluminescent fungi as well. You can see the little tips here of this little fungal thread of the hyphae here, of the mycelial network, actually glowing in the dark. And overall, the bioluminescence of the shroud fungus here. But there we go. Lights in the darkness, the fireflies that are here. Oh, absolutely stunning. So of course, fireflies, even though they are called fireflies and lightning bugs, they are neither flies nor are they bugs. They are a type of beetle in the Lampyridae family. Lampyridae, light-bearing. Interestingly enough, the compound that they contain that actually gets broken down to produce the light is called luciferin, like Lucifer, which actually means light bringer. And then luciferase is the enzyme, or firefly luciferase is the enzyme that breaks down firefly luciferin to produce the light there. Now the light we see with fireflies like this here, it most likely secondarily evolved to actually attract partners. Not all fireflies do produce light. There are quite a few species that don't produce light at all. They're not bioluminescent, at least not as adults. The juveniles, however, will very often still produce light. So why produce light if you can't attract a partner? Well, this is most likely a form of aposematism, or aposematic coloration. Aposematic coloration being warning colors, because, if you are standing out like this, obviously it means that you are poisonous, which is the case. Fireflies do contain toxic compounds, so they generally aren't eaten by a lot of things. Yes, some things will still eat them. They're not immune to predation. Some things are still fine with eating them. But it started out as a way to advertise that they are in fact toxic, so they should be left alone. And then secondarily it evolved to actually be an attractant for the opposite sex, with the males flying around trying to get the female's attention, and the females then also just getting the male's attention by also producing light. Now it's interesting to note that you can have 4 or 5 or 6 species of fireflies in the same area, yet they won't necessarily go for one another, because they have got specific patterns and specific times that they are flashing their lights. So some will, around dusk, they will produce their light, others will flash a little bit later in the evening. And they also have specific timings that they do, where some will have longer flashes, some will have shorter flashes, and ways in which they are flying. These ones are just kind of milling around in the same area here. Others will go in this long streak and just flash, flash, flash as they go around. So different species, different communication signals. And we also have over here some bioluminescent flowers. Now, I don't know of any bioluminescent flowers on Earth, but we are under attack as well. We're just going to swing wildly at the wolfie there. There we go. Okay. Corpses also are bioluminescent in this game, apparently. Anyway, we've got bioluminescent flowers. I don't have any bioluminescent flowers on Earth. These ones here, they are the Midnight Lily. That's a great name, because they are visible only at night. So very short-lived flowers, these Midnight Lilies. And we also can't grow them, okay? We can't cultivate them later. We've got to harvest them while we are out and about. Oh, and I just had my torch equipped and the torch immediately went out. Because it is now obviously raining as well. So let's just, stand in the rain over here and just quickly talk about the Midnight Lilies, because, well, obviously they are glowing for some reason, and it's most likely to attract pollinators. It very well could be to attract moths. I know there are moths in the game. I don't think there are moths here, though. We've got fireflies in the Springlands. I think the moths are in the Revelwood area, but they are trying to attract some kind of moth. Maybe not those big ones, those emperor moth type moths that we actually have in the Revelwood. The Midnight Lilies here are most likely just attracting a smaller moth. Now, of course, there are nocturnal flowers that do open. Generally, they're not bioluminescent, though. I'm not 100% sure whether we do have bioluminescent flowers on Earth. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. However, I'm not aware of any. But yeah, the Midnight Lily definitely trying to attract pollinators. We're just going to, take a nap and wait for daylight to come. There we go. The rain has stopped. Day is here. And this means we can head off a bit. We're just going to eat some chicken for breakfast. And you know what? Drink some water as well to increase our stamina. And then we are just going to follow this little pathway here to the edge where we were just a moment ago before we got distracted. Oh, I do want to mine some flint. So this seems to be a good spot to mine some flint. I will need to make a better pickaxe though. I only have the old normal pickaxe that I made, but we can make a scrappy pickaxe by the blacksmith as well. Alright, so I will probably mine a bit off screen as well, and you can see you get quite a bit of XP from just mining, this is generally how I level up in games, is I mine. I'm a little dwarf. Not necessarily digging holes, but digging in the mountainside a bit. Now, interesting, if we look, it almost seems as though the sun is rising in the north. I didn't check which way it actually went down, which direction it actually set. It may be actually setting in the south. Interesting. Anyway, we are going to head down here, because instead of going a very long way to go get some sparks, I'm just going to stay along the mountainside here, harvest some honey as we go along, because, we are nomadic. We are dependent on harvesting things as we go around. Hello there, little rabbit. Little hop hare. Okay, I said a rabbit, but that's actually a hare. Now, this could actually be a very nice little starter base. It's already hollowed out. I could technically move in here. May not have been a bad idea to actually do that. But we are going to just fly down here, because right down here there is another little place to get some sparks. Another flame shrine. Alright, and now we're ready to head on over to the Ancient Spire there. Of course, now that we have the grappling hook, we don't have to run through the shroud. Instead, we can just run along here and cross Braylon Bridge, because this is a much quicker way to get across. Especially since we can Spider-Man swing across. I must say, I do love the Springlands. I mean, look at this open woodland that we've got here. Well, semi-open woodland. Lots of tall trees. There's some undergrowth here as well. There are some ferns growing around as well. Lots and lots of grasses. So interesting the fact that we do have so many grasses. If you have a very dense forest, you tend to have very few grasses. Here in South Africa, at least, in the southern part of South Africa, where we have got very dense forests, we actually have almost no grasses growing there. In fact, we only have one or two species of grass capable of surviving in dense forests. And that's because, well, grasses need a bit more sun. And the woodland here is still open enough for there to be enough sunlight for them to survive. It seems like we have got a... there we go, we've got wolves that are attacking us. Or, well, not really us, it's attacking the goats here. So we're just going to... oh, okay, we were going to run with the wolves, and then the wolves came for us. Of course, the wolves doing their thing, attacking the goats in the area, They are the main predator. There aren't a lot of animals, I must say, not yet in the Springlands at least. I'm not sure whether they intend to put in more as time goes on, but they're actually surprisingly few animals. We have got the goats and we've got the hop hares. Later on, as we get to the Revelwood, of course, we'll get the fey deer, and later on we'll get to see more birds and so as well, as that wolf is clearly very blind. We're just going to put it out of its misery. Aha, and what have we got here? We've got a flint mine. Okay, nice. Nice little nodule of flint here. But we are heading over to that Ancient Spire there, because we can, of course, teleport to the top of that and then fly all around the world from those Ancient Spires. We're just going to open up a path here. Yes, we can go over, but why go over if we can go through? There should be... Yeah, there we go. There's a scavenger. There's also one up there, I think. Hello. And no. Yes, well... Of course, a lovely silver chest, just with a scrappy greatsword. It's going to salvage these things we're not going to use. That provisional scythe seems to have been a much higher level. I'll have to double check the recording, but I think that was actually a very high level one that I accidentally scrapped there. Anyway, it's always useful to pick up any notes you can find or read any notes you can find. And this one in particular talks about a hidden tomb that we can go explore. So we'll definitely do that as well. You know, we're going to go do a bit of light grave rob, archaeology. And we'll probably do that after ascending the Ancient Spire. Now, previously there used to be flint all along the mountainside here. However, it really has been reduced in abundance, so it seems like there we were just a bit earlier, as well as just to the west of Longkeep. That's still a good spot to mine flint, and then of course there is the small flint mine over there. But I remember coming to this spot to mine a lot of flint, and then there was nothing anymore. We're just grabbing some more penny bun mushrooms, or boletus mushrooms here. We're just going to eat those a bit later as well. That'll be a good meal. Oh, I love boletes. They are absolutely gorgeous, stunning, very delicious mushrooms. The old porcinis. Now usually the porcini, at least here where we are, they will be fruiting or producing these mushrooms around autumn or summer or autumn time. And well, we are heading into that now here in the southern hemisphere. So soon, hopefully, we'll also be able to eat some porcini again. Now Balthazar also chats about the Ancient Spires, the beacons of light. He's got two theories about them, that first of all the Ancient Spires somehow connected to each other, and the silent ones, the Ancients I guess, they travel between them, and then also secondly the Ancient Spires serve as a burial site, similar to the Flame Shrine. And all the knowledge of the land is stored in the flame here when they die. Either way, it's a big tower, and you know, when you see a big tower, you've got to climb the big tower. Now, there's no nature to chat about here, so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to, jump, swing, find hidden treasures, avoid the traps, avoid the lava, get more treasures, avoid the lava again, and make our way to the top here. And wow, what a beautiful view it is. Of course, you can see there's an elixir well over there, there's another little settlement over there. Lots and lots of trees, lots of deadly shrouds still as well that we need to get rid of, and we'll do that by strengthening our flame. And then of course, way off in the distance, we've got the Nomad Highlands over there, we've got Albaneve Summits, we've got the floating city we can't get to yet. The Kindle Wastes should be located to this side. So if we look to that side, past that one there we can see the Kindle Wastes as well. And then the new water biome, Valewater Basin, is located between that spot over there and that spot over there. So somewhere in there we've got Valewater Basin. Now the hidden tomb is just to our north, so you know what, we may as well go and try and do that, shall we? Not even that far. And this is why it's so important to unlock these Ancient Spires. Gives you a very nice launching pad to glide down. Of course you can run out of stamina and then you have a short drop and a sudden stop, but yeah, if you have enough stamina, you can get quite far, and especially later on when you've got better gliders. Now, we're going to face the spiders now. Now, these are venomous spiders. They're quite big as well. We can't have spiders this size on Earth anymore, simply because, well, they wouldn't be able to survive in the lower oxygen that we have nowadays compared to back in the day, like for example the Carboniferous period, when there was a lot more oxygen in the atmosphere on Earth. Now what we can get from these ones, from these spiders, would be the string, and that's basically just the webs that we are getting from them. And of course we can be, well, they say poisoned, well, envenomated by them. Interesting that they are spitting the venom at us. Now, being able to spit the venom, that's something we see with the spitting spiders, which will shoot a sticky web-like structure at their prey. As we're just going to kill more spiders here, which are aggressive towards us. I prefer, not attacking the spiders and actually living in harmony with them, but we'll only be able to do that later on after getting a certain skill unlocked. Until then, we are going to be under attack by the spiders, and we're going to defend ourselves against them. Now, the spitting spiders are in the Scytodidae family of spiders, and there are 4 genera in there. Scytodes being the most common genus of spider in that family. And what they do is they immobilize and kill their prey by shooting a sticky mass at their prey, things like silverfish and other small invertebrates. And that mass there contains both silk and venom to kill their prey. And interesting, what they do is most spiders produce their silk in their spinnerets, which are little glands on their abdomens. However, the spitting spiders also produce that sticky mass in their chelicerae, so in their fangs they produce that sticky mass, and then from there they shoot the sticky venomous mass at their prey to immobilize and kill them. So first of all, it envelops their prey, and then it hardens and actually forms this venomous sticky compound around their prey. And that is super cool. I love the spitting spiders. I've seen quite a few of them. They're harmless to us as humans. I mean, we are not the intended prey, so they wouldn't shoot at us. But these big spiders that we have got here, well, we would be on the menu for them. They would be using their venom to try and immobilize us. We're just making sure there aren't any more in this area, as we also loot some health potions. But this is the reason we are here. This golden chest with the bone blocks here. But not just that, we can also get some blue bioluminescence. There we go. Luminous growth. So this is most likely a type of fungal hyphae that we see here, fungal mycelium, that is again bioluminescent, very similar to the shroud fungus, but not actually shroud fungus. And you can kind of see the fruiting body starting to form here as that looks kind of either fungus-like or slime mold-like. You know what, this could be slime mold, which is not a fungus. Some molds, yes, are fungi, penicillin for example, but this is a type of slime mold, which is a weird group of organisms completely unrelated to fungi. But when we have our cave base, this is going to be lovely to put in there as well. Okay, so after that little bit of archaeology, we're just going to drop some things off at our base. And we also hear that there's a hunter and an alchemist that we also can go and save. And you know what, I think I'm going to go for the alchemist first, as we just drop off a bunch of stuff here. But you know what, I think we should also just strengthen our flame, and this is what we need. We need resin, pennyban mushrooms, we need some bones, we need shroud liquid, a spark, and some animal fur. I'm just going to pin that by pressing F, and then we can kind of shop from our chests here. So pennyban mushrooms would be all we need still. There should be some growing on these trees. As mentioned in the previous episode, they are mutualistic. They grow on the roots of the oak trees, and they've got this mutualistic relationship with the oak trees that they grow on, where both parties benefit. There we go, there's one here. Nice little bolete, little porcini mushroom. We need 2 more. Now I can see the fireflies starting to fly around. There we go, here they come, they're emerging now. So nighttime is upon us, which means we'll probably have to search for our pennyban mushrooms in the morning. I don't foresee the quest for it going well in the middle of the night. So we're just going to sleep, have some breakfast, take a swig of water, and go look for the last 2 pennyban mushrooms. There may be some here to the south. There we go, there's one right here. Of course, the pennyban mushrooms in the game itself, not necessarily found in association. Oh, there's some flint here as well. Not necessarily found in association with the trees, but I like to pretend that they are found in association with the bigger oak trees and sometimes even the pine trees in the area. And there we go. There is one here right next to this tree, so that's marvelous. Also going to harvest one of these 2 beehives that we have here, or wasp nests that we've got here. Going to leave the other one. Wasps and bees, very important pollinators, so we're just going to leave that nest intact. And now that we've got everything, we can strengthen our flame. And there we go, let's do that, shall we? And then we're going to set off to go find the alchemist. And I think that is where we are heading, right over there. So we're just going to glide on over. Hopefully we've got enough stamina. I think we should have. We are rested, we've drunk water. We should be alright. We're just going to go through the town here as well. We will pay a visit to the town later on, because, well, I could technically move in here as well. There are nice fields here, nice farmlands, So it's Harvest Homestead. Nice place to actually grab some farm soil as well, and a few crops as well. However, this place gives me the heebie-jeebies, so I'm not going to actually move in here. But one can come and harvest some flower soil here. Oh, this is gorgeous. You know what? We do want, wherever we are going to move in, we do want some flowers. So let's grab some flower soil here. Just a wee little bit. We will space it out when we settle a bit. And again, more flint here. Again, likely where a crack formed in the rock when it was formed. And then, of course, filled with some silica-rich ooze. Now, interesting, one of the things that could be filling the gaps there to produce flint is the silica-containing spicules of sponges. Spicules being the little building blocks that form the skeleton of a marine sponge. So that could be one of the things that oozed into the cracks to then eventually form flint. Alright, so we are here where the alchemist is. And, of course, there are some scavengers around here as well. We are just going to attack them. We're not going to take their elixirs, though. I refuse to use elixir in my playthroughs. Yes, I know it gives you strength, but I don't want to play with fire. Well, not that type of fire. Ah, we've leveled up. The fire I like to play with? The explosive kind. There is a guy walking right there. You know what, we're just going to give him a nice explosive surprise. And then there's a note here that talks about a cave. Oh, yes. Some kind of stash also stored away in the cave. That is brilliant. We do need a cave to actually settle into. So I guess that's what we are going to do. We're going to go find that cave and we're going to move in. But for now, we're just going to head in here. You can see here they used a ram to break down the door to get to whatever or whoever is in here. And they were successful in doing that. So we just have to be careful. They most likely, yeah, indeed, there are some scavengers around. So let's just, clear them. Oh, we can go down. Always go in the direction they don't entice you to go. And a nice golden chest. Oh, nice. We're just going to be impaled by the last spikes. And then we're going to head up. And something tells me there we go. There are indeed 2 more scavengers here. We're just going to get rid of them. And then there we go. The Alchemist, Balthazar. The Alchemist is going to be very, very useful because he is going to help us make potions and all kinds of stuff. I like to see him kind of as like the weird herbalist uncle. So he's going to be the one that we're going to interact with quite a bit. I do love being a magic user, so I most likely will be making some spells with Balthazar and do all those lovely things as well. And we just ate a bit of a berry there just to get some extra health regen. Ooh, there's a silver chest here. Not gonna say no to that. With the alchemist's ring, we should probably give that back to him then, shan't we? Oh, the axe is a one-handed one. That is nice. But now we are going to go for that cave, which is somewhere here to the south. I do foresee a bit of a fight, most likely. Since it was a scavenger note, most likely would be inhabited by scavengers, the cave here. There we go. Okay, we found the cave. Ah, you see, there are explosives here as well. And there's someone there. Oh, there are more than one someone there. Oh, there's another person. Okay. Was another person. Let's just make the bomb go boom. And then there's one more wolfie here. And a nice stash. And of course, the wailing blade is a thing that we grab here. Alright, so this is a lovely little cave. And I'm really, really enticed, tempted to actually plop down a flame altar right over here. So you know what, let's try and do that. Alright, so let's place it down right over here. The chest in the back there is outside of the radius of our altar, so we should be able to loot it again. But now we have a cave base, and this is going to be a nice little more permanent base. And this is very similar to what our ancestors would also have done. Found a cave, before, instead of building a nice big house to start with. This is a great shelter. I mean, why waste time and energy building something if you've got a natural cave that you can shelter in? Of course, you don't want to go too deep into a cave because there may be a lack of oxygen in there. So you want a nice open cave like this. And yeah, you want some free flow through here. So it may not be a greatest idea to live in the cave here, but we're going to do that. Yeah, we're going to do that. But you know what, I think this is a good spot to end for today, so we're going to grab the hunter next time. In the meantime, I'm just going to hollow this out a bit more and make this nice and homely. So thank you very much everyone for joining me on a little adventure today. Hope you had fun. I had a blast, more than one way. And of course, if you've got any questions or comments, please pop them down in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Really helps the channel to grow, and it's always nice to welcome more people to the Ecology Squad. So if you'd like to see videos like this, click that subscribe button. And until next time everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Cheers.